I'm Bruce Honeywell and welcome to this course of Media Ethics. I'm the course coordinator, and it's a subject that I guess ethics can be reasonably dry, or it can be pretty exciting. I mean, just think about what we talk about during the course of a day. We talk about what was on television over the past few days. You know, did you see what they said on such and such a current affairs program? Or did you see what they said in the news last night? We read newspapers. Did you see what was in the Australian the other day? We talk about these things and how they're approached, whether we're budding journalists or not. So it's very much part of our life, because the media is very much part of our life, I guess. So media ethics we'll talk about, and we will go into depth, but I think will be a pretty exciting 12 weeks. The very start, we'll look at a foundation, I guess, that media ethics is based on. If we think back, there's been great battles for freedom of the media, freedom of press, freedom of newspapers over some centuries since the printing press was invented, and I guess even before that, where we've got the town criers, no doubt, got themselves in a bit of strife if they spread gossip in the wrong direction about the wrong person. So it's been something that's been going on a long time, our freedom of expression. In the 20th century, it was defined for us by the United Nations, and that's in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And Article 19 states, everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers or borders. I guess we've still got a long way to go in the country, and even places close to home, even at home, with all the various stresses that we've got on telling stories. And I guess that this course is going to be about looking at those things. So what actually is ethics, and what is the need for ethics in the media? Today, I guess we become used to the idea of what we consider a lack of ethics in the media. Again, the ones that cop criticism most, I guess, are the current affairs programs on television, particularly the commercial stations. I guess a current affair and Today Tonight. And they fluctuate, but of course they're fairly formulaic, and they're very strong competition for viewing, and of course they push the limits. They continually push the limits. Yet even with this, and of course the newspapers too, that all, I guess in a free market, all the media is vying for readership, and of course the economic gains of advertising that flows on from that. But we still wake up in the morning and we know that we've got freedom of expression in this country, particularly compared with other countries. And our media is free, and it's inquiring, and that's exceedingly important. Yet there are threats to the freedom of the media in developed countries like Australia and the US. And we'll be talking more about that as we go through this course. Ethics in the media. It's obvious that Australia is in a free market. So what controls are there to keep the media on some sort of ethical track? And what are we defined by as journalists? We know we can't step over that mark there, and we can't step over that mark there. We remain ethical in the middle, and there's a broad ethical road and then a much narrower one, and it depends very much on the journalist and their publication or program, I guess. We see from time to time, as I was saying, things that challenge us. Now, just have a look at this headline here. Just have a look at that, and I'll read it. Give them machine guns and let them finish it. Now that's a headline that was written in the Northern Territory News in 2006, and it's about a magistrate who was frustrated with violence on an Aboriginal community of Wadair, or Port Keats, in northwestern part of the Northern Territory. Anyway, there was a lot of violence through 2006 at Wadair, and the magistrate, totally frustrated by that, said in court, in public, give them machine guns and let them finish it. Obviously showing quite a lot of frustration. Now, what's the media's role in this? Should it run that line? which no doubt would get a lot of, I guess, agreement from mainstream people in the Northern Territory. Or should it say, judge loses his cool, or something like that, and report on the fact, whatever drove a magistrate to make this sort of declaration. The news, in its style, I guess, went for the radical headline. That's the sort of thing we're going to look at over this period, just to see what's the right road. You know, what's behind putting something to air or publishing radical headlines like that, or should we take a more considered approach? So where do we begin? Well, in this course we'll be looking at the foundation of ethical reporting, publishing and broadcasting. Probably in week 2 we'll be having a look at that. We'll look at the history of ethical codes in the media, also in week 2. Then we'll have a look at the Australian, or the MEAA, Code of Ethics, Journalist Code of Ethics, and how it's implemented. We'll be taking a close look at that, because that drives, I guess, a code of practice for all journalists in Australia. We'll be looking at that in weeks 3 and 4. We'll be looking at quantitative and qualitative methods of viewing the media, so we can make valid comparisons between media in Australia and our neighbours. And we'll be talking more about that today, and also we'll be having a much closer look at our neighbours in week 7 of this course, or module 7. The legislation and the rules that keep Australia's media within the boundaries I was talking about. Is self-regulation working in this country? We'll have a close look at that in week 5. We'll look at case histories, such as the reporting in Australia of the Chappelle-Corby case, always a hot discussion subject. And we'll look at the practical application of ethical journalism in the case of war with Indigenous issues, and changing mores, I guess, in the digital age. And we'll investigate the increasing, if subtle, amounts of censorship and information control being exerted on this country towards the end, exerted on media in this country towards the end of this course. So the course will be made up of these talks, weekly readings we'll talk about later, self-driven tutorials, online discussions, and keeping abreast, and this is important, keeping abreast with current events as reported in the media. That's reading, listening to radio, watching television, and so forth, because this is very much a journalism program. We need to be aware and in touch with what's happening in journalism as the course proceeds.